Tii Item 405, September 7th, 2016. iPhone 7, 7 Plus, and Apple Watch Series 2.
Welcome to Today in iPhone.
I like it a lot.
Today in iPhone.
Hey, Google!
Oh, yeah.
My beautiful iPhone, which I never have out of my hand and that I do everything with and has become an extension of who I am.
This episode is sponsored by Ring. For a limited time, get $50 off the Ring security kit by going to ring.com/TII. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rob, and this is the Today in iOS podcast. First up, I want to thank Damon for sending in the music you hear in the background. Damon wrote, "Hey Rob, I was the one who first suggested playing music from your listeners during your intro. Thank you so much for entertaining the idea. It is so cool to see it still part of the show and it becoming part of that cool connection you have with all of us. I've got another song I created. This is in Garageband on an iPad too. Love the show. Thanks for all the wonderful info. Regards, Damon. P.S. I created two versions of the song. One you can talk over in the intro, and one you can play at the end of your podcast with some vocals I've sampled. Hope you like it." Well, thanks, Damon, for the music. And folks, I will put the other version of the song at the end of the episode. Some cute vocals you put in there. I also want to thank Bruce for sending in the artwork for today's show. Bruce wrote the following. "Hi, Rob. Here is some artwork I created using an image based off of Apple's most recent invite. It was edited and the text was added using Snapseed app. Thanks for all that you do, and as always, keep up the great work. Regards, Bruce W." Well, thanks, Bruce, for sending in the artwork. And folks, you can see Bruce's artwork in the free TI app via the bonus button for episode 405 or at instagram.com/todayios and as a standalone post in the VIP section and at facebook.com/todayios. If you have some artwork and or music you have created on your iOS device that you would like to share with the audience, please email to me at todayios@gmail.com. Please make sure to include which app or apps you use to create said artwork and or music. In this segment of How Wrong Were They, we have the following quote, "iHeads who continually proclaim the imagined superiority of Apple's smartphone versus those of Samsung now have grudging respect for the Korean giant and will soon be awed by Sony and LG," unquote. Henry Long, Seeking Alpha, 6th of September 2013. Evidently, Mr. Long's definition of respect, well, it's quite different from us iHeads. Just saying. For promo codes, we have codes for a couple of apps this episode. First up are promo codes for the app Franken Girl. 2 words. The devs describe the app as a game of collecting where you create different parts of a girl, eyes, nose, mouth, and other features, and then you fuse them together to make your own Franken Girl. They say it is a collecting game with a unique concept. Well, cannot disagree with that, I guess. Thanks to the devs for sending over the promo codes for this app, and folks, if you would like a chance for a promo code for this app, please send an email to todayios@gmail.com and put girl in the subject line. We also have promo codes for the app Silk ASMR. Here is the review from the devs.
Hello, I'm the developer of Silk ASMR, an app filled with soothing audio tracks to help you to relax and sleep. I've recently expanded out the content from 200 to over 300 relaxing audio tracks. Now you can mix and match an even greater variety of soothing voices, nature sounds, relaxing music, white noise, fan noises, binaural beats, and ASMR trigger sounds. You can download the Silk ASMR app for free and sample every track, and then use in-app purchases or promo codes to download your favorite tracks.
Well, thanks to the devs for their review of their app and for really firing us up today. And if you would like to get promo codes for the app Silk ASMR, all you got to do is send an email to todayios@gmail.com and put Silk in the subject line. As always, just send in one email for one specific app. If you send in multiple emails and or ask for multiple apps in a single email, then, well, no soup for you. A quick reminder, if you are an app dev or an iBook author, email me if you want your app or iBook featured in the promo giveaway segment for free. We just need the 5 promo codes or more to give away. Simply email me at todayinios@gmail.com and please include a 60-second or less audio review of your app or iBook, indicating you are the dev or author. Also, when you send in the promo codes, please make sure to let me know when they expire. And please send in a 60-second review. Don't leave it up to me to be snarky. Today's episode is one of those episodes I record in 2 parts. First half, I am recording Tuesday night, the 6th, and then the second half will be recorded after the September 7th event. So during the first half, I have no idea what Apple is or is not going to announce. Keep that in mind when listening to the first half of this episode.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, it's official. The Samsung Galaxy Note 7 was the hottest smartphone selling this summer. That would be around 500 degrees Celsius and 932 degrees Fahrenheit to be specific.
Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop. Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Thanks to all that sent in emails on this one. Emails with subject lines like, Merry Christmas, or Rob, try not to smile, I dare you. Geez, some of you think I'm going to get some sort of pleasure from reading these articles, almost like, what's that German word, Schadenfreude, which was actually what one clever person put in the title of an email. And all I can say is, well, you know me too well.
Oh, man, the building's on fire. The building's on fire.
And for those still not clued in on what I'm talking about, it is per the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, and that 500 degrees Celsius I mentioned earlier, well, maybe some of the chemistry majors can tell you that is the rough combustion temperature of lithium ion. Seems there were some units going boom goes the dynamite when they were being charged. This issue is so bad that Samsung had to recall all the Note 7s it sold in 10 countries, including the US, and they claim that's over 2.5 million units. Apparently, when charging up said Note 7, a small percentage of the units may catch on fire and basically look like they exploded. Which, by the way, is finally a feature Samsung did not rip off from Apple. Funny thing is, if you watch the ads for the Note 7, it shows it working underwater, which now turns out is a good thing as it's the only safe place to charge one of them. Ba-dum-bum-tsh. So if you are hearing this and you have a Note 7 or know someone that does, make sure they return it ASAP and don't try to charge it up. Really, this is a major issue and one for Samsung that could not possibly come at a worse time, just as Apple was getting ready to roll out the new iPhones, which we'll get to later in this episode. From an article on CNN Money about the recall, quote, it is believed 0.1% of all devices sold are at risk. The company added that 2.5 million Note 7 devices have sold since launch, unquote. So that's only 2,500 ticking time bombs that could burn down your house. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says that consumers should stop using this product immediately. Then you want to return it where you purchased it, and the best thing to do is upgrade to the iPhone, which you should have purchased to start with. On September 1st, Apple announced some App Store improvements. Well, improvements for the end users and those devs that have recently updated their apps and have short titles, like, the Tii App, a total of 7 characters, counting the space. See, Apple is going to be cracking down on those app devs that are gaming the system by putting really long titles with a bunch of keywords stuffed in the title. Going forward, titles will be limited to no longer than 50 characters, which the marketer in me says, hey, Rob, you're leaving 43 characters on the table that you could be using to keyword spam with. This all goes back to how iTunes search works, and it's about the title. And it has such a strong influence on the results that many app devs tried to spam their titles with almost random keywords or words they thought would be searched for. Marketers love to do this, and one example of an app I found doing this is one called Marketing Plan and Strategy, SEO, social media marketing and advertising. Over 60 characters, and it is the first 25 characters before the colon, which really are the app's title. Going forward, app names for new apps and any updates need to be 50 characters or shorter. The other place Apple is cleaning up the App Store is in removing apps that have not been updated in a while or are not updated to support the current version of iOS or no longer function as intended. If you're an app dev and your app is deemed to be one of these apps, you will be contacted by Apple, then we'll have 30 days to make the needed changes, or your app will get the boot from the App Store. If you have one of these apps installed on your iOS device, it will not affect that installed app. Some interesting factoids from Apple in that note on this are there are now over 2 million apps available, and each week there are 100,000 new or updated apps submitted for review. Ouch. As a consumer of many apps, these are both welcome changes, and as someone with a 7-character app that gets updated all the time, I like these changes as well. From the Google Plus community, Vinny Trent said, quote, "That's great news, but I have to say it's about time. It's one thing to be able to say we have 2 million apps in our store, but if even a small percentage of those are rubbish or faulty, it doesn't look good for the company responsible for policing the store." Unquote. Well said, Vinny. Interesting rumor in Bloomberg, and one not on the bingo card, and that is Apple is supposedly working on a social sharing app.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Hey now. Okay. Yes. I know. Ping and the failure that was is probably what's going through some of your minds. Apparently, this time around, it would be an app for video recording and sharing to go after Snapchat. Supposedly, this app would allow users to record video, apply filters and drawings to the media, similar to what Snapchat does, and send it to contacts or to other social networks. Which, okay, the last part lost me. Are they creating their own social network, i.e. Ping? Or are they just creating video creation apps that can take the output and send it via social media to other social medias? The rumor, according to Bloomberg, is that this app would be released in 2017. Nothing tighter than that. There are other rumors of social sharing features, applications in the works at Apple, but maybe social networking is just not something in Apple's DNA. I mean, after all, social networking means being social and sharing way more info about yourself than you have any right to. Or, as I like to call those people, front to backers, because they basically share everything, including which way they, well, you kind of get the picture. And Apple is so, well, exactly the opposite. Everything is hush hush, don't share, don't tell. It is very, very likely the social media gene is just missing from Apple's DNA. And that's okay. After all, no one is ever great at everything. Well, unless you are one of the 4 people with JB for your initials. But outside of James Bond, Jason Bourne, Jack Bauer, and of course, Johnny Bravo, everyone else is lucky to be really good at just a couple of things, or even one thing. And I think social networks, well, that's something Apple should probably support, but not participate in.
Hello, Rob. This is Justin from Pennsylvania. I'm calling in response to a caller who was talking about the security of a third party fixing his iPhone, and it was about he had to replace his lightning port because it wasn't taking charge. I would highly recommend anytime with something like that, you can make it to Apple, go to Apple, not because of the security feature, because I had the same issue happen on one of my iPhones with the lightning port. And I tried to go through the Genius Bar, and I thought I was going to have to pay for something because I was just out of warranty and I didn't have the Apple Care. And the guy at the front of it just cleaned it out right there with the tool he had, and then it took charge again. It was no problem. So I think like a third-party reseller, there's no money to be made for them to clean your lightning port and take your charge because, and I'm telling you, like, because you push it up in there, you may not be able to tell that dirt is up there, because I looked up in it and couldn't tell, because when you push in with the lightning cable, it pushes that dirt further in, and what happens is eventually there's so much lint up there from it being in your pocket or whatever that it won't make the connection right, even if it looks like it will, it's not, and you need to clean it out. And you can look online how to do that kind of thing, but I think, like, you probably paid for a lightning port that was probably fine, or, you know, or whatever. I mean, I can imagine a third-party seller doing the due diligence that Apple would do, because Apple knows you're coming back for another phone sometime, you know, as long as you're happy, and they will do things that a third-party reseller, or a third-party fixing agent wouldn't do because it's not in their financial best interest to do so. So that's my recommendation, and I hope your lightning port needs replaced and all that. But my experience, I've had it happen to me twice, and both times I needed to clean out my iPhone, and I guess, you know, keep my iPhone out of my pocket, but I don't know how you do that. Anyway, thanks, Rob. Have a great day. I just want to let everyone else know if they ever have this issue. I think it happens really commonly, you know, and I hate to see people pay for something they shouldn't have to. All right, thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.
Justin, thanks for that feedback. Into the email bag we go. Hey, Rob, in episode 403, the listener named Tammy was asking for help with her photo upload to Google. Specifically, her problem was that she was running out of space while Google backed up her photos, and she didn't know why that would happen. Well, I have the answer. When you have optimized photos turned on, Google Photos has to download the full version of your photos and videos to your device from iCloud in order to upload them to its servers. That's why her phone keeps running out of space. The iPhone should manage itself by re-optimizing the photos, but it doesn't always work. She might have to manually delete the photos that have already been backed up as she goes to make the process go more smoothly. Alternatively, if she has access to a computer, she might want to try to download her iCloud stuff to the computer and then upload to Google with the desktop uploader app. Oh, and don't forget to clear out the recently deleted folder to regain that storage space. Regards, Barry Smitherman. Thank you, Barry. And staying in the email bag, Harib, a few things I wish were added to iOS. On Control Center, the bottom row of the apps function like a mini app launcher. I uninstalled Calculator and some other stock apps now, and I only have the 3 icons. I wish I could choose those apps which appear in the Control Center. At the very least, I wish the Wallet app was one of them. I find double-clicking on the home button when my phone is locked often unlocks the device instead of bringing up the wallet. The same gesture behaves differently when the phone is unlocked. I believe this is the only thing that behaves this way in iOS. With my phone now unlocked, I then scramble to find the wallet buried in a folder. Secondly, I wish there was a way to mark a message at iMessage as unread. Sometimes I receive a message, will read it, but don't want to reply at that time. Being able to mark it as unread would remind me to respond. Lastly, the stock keyboard should have some sort of swipe option. And when you launch the health app and click on mindfulness, are you able to launch the video? There is a play button, but it doesn't do anything. I don't think the mindfulness part of the health app is active at all. Regards, John in North Lake, Wisconsin. Well, thanks, John, for your feedback. And by the way, I agree 100% on being able to mark a message, an iMessage, as unread, because I do that with emails all the time. I'll read an email, then I'll mark it as unread so that I know it's important and I have to come back to it later on. So yeah, it would be really nice if iMessage had that same feature.
Hi, Rob. It's Kim from Salem, Oregon. To give my 2 cents about the person that called in last episode and thought that whole passcode issue was from Apple. I don't think that's true, because if it was from Apple, don't you think that everybody would be getting it and not just a select few? And if I did get that whole change your passcode issue and the phone wouldn't do anything else, I would do everything in my power to make sure that I don't have to do that, because I don't want my security information going off to some random hacker somewhere in the universe. And about the removal of the headphone jack, aside from you announced that, I was worried, because I like being able to play stereo games and with my headphones and everything. But the more pending the removal of the headphone jack became, and I'm pretty sure that now it's pretty much guaranteed that it's going to happen, I'm okay with it now, because I have a Bluetooth earpiece, which is awesome, and I love being able to use my phone without having that wire trailing from it for the headphones. And I'm just going to have to spend like $100 to buy a pair of Bluetooth headphones from Jabra, which is fine. You know, you got to do what you got to do. So that's okay. Who knows what will happen? Well, I guess we'll see on September 7th. Anyway, have a great rest of your week, and I love the show. Keep it up, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hi Rob, this is Barts Dutchman in Sweden. I have some input about the problem mentioned in the last couple of episodes about listeners getting a pop-up message asking them to change their device passcodes. I have had the same message on my old iPhone 4S a couple of months ago. It was a message without further explanation, but there was no way around it. So I did change my passcode, and I must say I didn't have any problems after that. It just had a 5-digit passcode, which was fine for me. So I really didn't think about it anymore. But you know, after listening to your last show, I did some research on the internet, and it seems that most, but not all, of the people who have this issue have managed devices, so work phones. And if you want to know if you have a managed device, you can just go to the Settings app, General, and then Profiles and Device Management. But I was even able to recreate the issue because I am a user of Bushel, which is the service that allows me to manage my devices remotely. They were a sponsor of the show, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I reset my iPhone 4S to factory settings, then enrolled it to Bushel, and then required it to have a 5-digit passcode, and that created the exact same message I got a few months ago. The strange thing is, I didn't do this 5 months ago, so I'm not sure what happened. Maybe there was some problem in Bushel. I don't know what did cause it, but anyway, I really think that if Apple allows this kind of remote management in iOS, they should really make sure that pop-up messages like this have a clear description indicating what is causing the message to appear, and maybe add some info button. I don't know. This was really obscure, I think, and very un-Apple-esque, I would say. This doesn't solve the issue, I guess, but I hope it does help for some of your listeners. Thanks for the show, Rob. Bye.
Bart, thanks for the great feedback and research, and it sounds like you really did find the solution to the issue that's going on. It sounds like it is a managed device issue. So again, thank you for that voicemail message. We are now over 3,000 members in our Google Plus community and growing. Thanks to everyone that has joined, and thanks for the great posts. One new post in the Google Plus community that went up since the last episode that had lots of comments came from Ed Tilden on September 6th, who posted the following, quote, "Has anyone else noticed unreliability of Touch ID since iOS 9.3.4/5? I'm finding myself constantly reteaching both my phone and my iPad my fingerprints. Before these updates, I never had issues," unquote. Nick Brown replied, quote, "Same here," unquote. Lawrence McFarlane, Jim H., Bob Berberek, and Rick C. all replied that theirs were working fine, as is mine working fine as far as my wife's iPhone SE goes, which is at the same iOS level. Myron Yuka replied, quote, "I'm running iOS 10 beta and noticed Touch has not worked as well on my iPhone the last week. It is working fine on my iPad Air 2, though," unquote. And then Nick Brown replied back to say, quote, "So mine is working great since I added my print upside down. I don't see how that would do any good, but it did for me at least. I should mention neither my daughter or my wife are having any problems," unquote. I should say I've had emails from others with some different issues with iOS 9.3.5, like from Alf in Sheffield, UK, who reported issues since updating to iOS 9.3.5 that people he is trying to talk to via the phone when using Bluetooth cannot hear him speak. And others are reporting that issue as well. If you had that issue and fixed it, please email us todayinios@gmail.com and let us know what you did to fix that issue. Seems to be a little bit widespread. Well, not widespread, but a little bit of an issue that multiple people are having. So iOS 9.3.5, while needed for everyone for security reasons, may have introduced for some a few bugs. Does that mean you should run out and update to iOS 10 Goldmaster on the first day it's released? Heck no. Even if you are having issues, wait a few days. And if you are not having issues, wait until at least the first update of iOS 10, say iOS 10.0.1 before updating. Just my warning. Next episode, I'll go over iOS 10 in greater detail and re-emphasize waiting on the update, as I've recommended in the past. Since the last episode, there were also dozens and dozens and dozens of new posts and comments in the TII Google Plus community, which is an Android fanboys free zone and spammer free zone. Yep, it is the most civil Google Plus community covering iOS. Folks, go to todayinios.com/community to join in. And thanks to all 3,000 plus of you already in the community and contributing. Thanks to Dr. John for this next one. And this is for those thinking about getting the smaller or larger capacity storage with the new iPhones. Apple last week launched a 2 terabyte iCloud storage tier for $20 a month. Really though, at $20 a month, that is much more in 2 years than the difference between 128 and 256 gig version of the iPhone, which likely will be $100. If you feel 2 terabytes is much more than you need in the cloud, Apple does offer 1 terabyte for $10 a month, 200 gigabytes for $3 a month, and 50 gigabytes for $1 a month. If the main reason you run out of space with your iPhone is photos and videos, then this might be worth looking at, well, at the $3 a month level. That is $72 in 2 years. For 200 gigabytes, it is more additional storage than the extra 128 gig you're going to get going from 128 to 256, and it is $28 cheaper. That all said, I'm sure I'm going to get a 256 gig version. More on that later in the episode. Just know that there is now a 2 terabyte version of iCloud to store all your photos and movies if you are one of those people that just have way too many photos and movies.
Hello Rob, it's Daniel from Wisbeach, Cambridgeshire. Two things. First thing, to all us UK lot, Apple Music is free for 6 months on EE. Okay, all you've got to do is text music to 150 starting the 1st of September. And I would personally like to extend my thumb to my nose and wiggle my other fingers and do na 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 to you Yankee lot. Hey! All in the sense of good fun and camaraderie. You know how it is. We're just all having a laugh. Anyway, the second thing I want to get ahead of is Sean or Scott from Cypress Hill or Circus Hill or something like that. Some hill anyway in America. Going on about his son breaking his screen. Now, I've got a suggestion. He needs to get a new son because I was sitting there listening and he's broke one screen, then he broke another screen, then he broke another screen, and I'm adding it up in my head and he's doing about $400. Well, I'm fairly sure in the right marketplace you can pick up a really good son for under $400. So maybe look into that, pal. All right. All the best, much love as always. Love the show, love your face, love your work, all that old jazz. All right, my son. See you later.
Daniel, as always, have a nice day. Harib, I have an iPhone 6. Out of the blue, my headphones stopped working. I could hear static when I plugged them into the iPhone, but no sound came through. Step 1, I checked to see if there was any dirt in the jack. Nope. Step 2, I tried a different pair of headphones. Same problem. Step 3, settings, general, reset network settings. Bingo! I remember on one of your shows not a long time back, you said resetting the network settings fixes many problems. Thank you. Your solution worked for me. All headphones are now working. Regards, Janet in Texas. Well, thanks, Janet, for that reminder. The all reset network settings trick really does work and fix a bunch of issues with your iOS device, even if theoretically it should not. Into the email bag. Hi, Rob. I have not heard any complaints in a while about Apple Maps. Would I be right in assuming the maps are as good as Google in mapping and driving directions? Wonder also about accidents and traffic, slow flow info posted to Apple Maps. Just curious, I may be getting a new phone soon. I've still got Google Maps and search, but really need more gigs than 16. Using my 4S Dinosaur on 6.3 We'll be getting a headphone jack, however. Regards, Mike R. Well, Mike, Apple Maps keeps getting better, and with each major update of iOS, much better, and even better with some minor updates. Is it on par with Google Maps today? Probably not. But is it close enough as a native app to no longer make you need Google Maps? For most people, that answer is absolutely. Sure, there are still some small percentage of use cases by location and function that Apple Maps falls down versus Google Maps, but vice versa can be said as well. I personally am all in on Apple Maps and have stopped using Google Maps a while ago. Apple Maps with integration with my Apple Watch really works the best for me. I have traveled a bunch this year. Next flight actually gets me A-list on Southwest. And I have only used Apple Maps this year, and they have worked, or it has worked great for me. Again, the real question is not, is Apple Maps as good as Google Maps? Just, is it close enough? And in my opinion, and based on feedback from many listeners, for 99% plus of the users, yes, it's close enough. And that's all native apps need to be to achieve that most used status app. And that really is where Apple Maps is. It's used by more people for maps on iOS than any other map app. Hi, Rob. I have a question, more of an idea, but either way, maybe you can answer it for me. Is there an app or a new update coming to the Apple Watch that will flash a notification when my cell phone drops a signal? Down here in Albuquerque, you can lose signal very quickly indoors or even driving a few miles down the street before it catches up to the next tower. There are many times that I have lost signal only to bounce back. During those times, I feel it would be nice to know if my phone was on no service before I pulled it out of my pocket to look. If the watch can flash notifications from the phone that tells you when the phone is out of range, then it should be just as simple to have a little icon changing colors based on whether or not there is a signal. I tried a couple of free ones like Dash Phone and Remote Battery that were free. I went up to the hiking trails on the top of the Sandias, knowing there are places to find where I can lose reception to test. Results, neither worked. Both these apps merely told me either who my carrier was or how much battery my phone had or how much battery my Apple Watch had left in it. Having an app tell me that I have 4G T-Mobile on my watch while looking at a no service bar on the iPhone really doesn't help me. Love the show. Regards, Tom. Well, folks, if anybody has a solution for Tom, give us a call, 206-666-6364. It's 206-MON-DOG. Or shoot us an email at todayinios@gmail.com.
Hey, Rob. Scott from Washington, D.C., Capitol Hill. Fantastic. Your advice about my son and the Life Proof or Outer Box was hilarious. Absolutely, 100%. Dropping the phone in the toilet, breaking the glass twice, all of those kind of things. Let me tell you kind of what happened. My iPhone 6 Plus S, I made an appointment to the Apple Store, went in for my appointment to change my screen out of warranty, went into the store, my appointment, they told me I can wait a couple of minutes, so I walked out in the mall, and I walked around to one of those third-party repair shops. They happen to be right in front of the Apple Store. It seems inevitable that they're right in front of the Apple Store. And I walked out to one of the shops, and I said, hey, just by chance, what's the price for you to change the glass on this iPhone 6 Plus S? And they said, well, that's a brand new screen, and, we use third-party glass, which I didn't like to hear. And then they said, because the screen and the technology is so new, we will have to charge you a little more than $200 to replace that. That's if we have that screen in. So I felt great. I was like, okay, Apple, you might be high with a lot of things, but at least the third-party version of your screen, they charge more than you would charge me to go to the store and buy it out of warranty. So I told the guy at the repair shop, the third-party shop, I said, you're actually higher than Apple, and I can go in there and pay $149. He says, yes, I know. And he shook his head saying, I don't understand it, but it's kind of how it works. I felt great. One more thing I wanted to add. You remember I told you my son dropped the phone in the toilet? He put it in a bag of rice for 2 weeks because I told him I'm not buying him another phone or anything. And, we're going to have to wait for the 7 or whatever. And magically, the phone started working again. So if we can get another 2 weeks or so of him using the phone, or a month or so until this iPhone 7 comes out, I'll be happy as a lark or what have you. Thanks for all you do. I'm hanging in here with these Apple products and these warranties and trying to figure out between juggling one and another, if paying for it, the insurance, the risks, all of these kind of things, and weighing what option works best for me. But I thank everyone for their opinion, and we never heard from the blue shirts, but oh well. I think from what the caller said and what you said, you kind of go with what's best for you, and I think that that's fair. Thanks, Rob, for all you do. Love the show. Take care. Bye-bye.
I've mentioned the Ring doorbell in a few previous episodes. Well, let me tell you a true story on how it kept me out of the doghouse with my wife. 2 weekends ago, my wife was going out with her mom shopping for the day, and as she was leaving, she was giving me the list of things I needed to do that day while she was gone. And one of them, which she claimed to be one of the more important ones, was for me to be at the house at 1 p.m. because Tesha, the lady that cuts my boys' hair, was coming over to cut their hair. Like with most husbands, that info went in one ear and right out the other. A little afternoon, I was hungry and I decided, hey, let's take the boys for lunch and ice cream at Culver's. At 1 p.m., on my phone, there was a little notice of a ringing of the doorbell. I answered the doorbell from Culver's and saw Tesha standing there, and I was like, oh, crap. I told her we were 3 minutes out. I grabbed the boys, the rest of our lunch, and rushed home. Tragedy avoided, well, except for the part where I did not get the ice cream. And I needed to tip a little better with Tesha for waiting there for me for a few minutes. And the wife was never the wiser, unless she's listening to this episode, that I totally forgot what she said. That is the power of being able to answer your doorbell anywhere, anytime. If you go to ring.com/TII, you will get for a limited time $50 off the Ring security kit, which includes a video doorbell, stick-up cam, solar panel, and indoor chime. The video doorbell quickly and easily connects to your wired doorbell wires. The main unit is not something you have to worry about charging if you wire it up. It took me all of 20 minutes, if that, to remove the old doorbell and replace it with the video doorbell from Ring. And you can share access to others in your house. The Ring doorbell has quickly become one of those accessories you can't see yourself living without ever again once you start using it. Beyond the front door, the stick-up cam can be used to watch other parts of your house and also installs in minutes. Go to ring.com/TII to save $50 off either Ring security kits. Thanks, Ring, for sponsoring this episode. And now we get into the September 7th, 2016 Apple Keynote event. The keynote started off as expected with Tim Cook, except it started with Tim as a passenger with James Corden. And as they say, hilarity ensued, or at least carpool karaoke ensued. Apple Music is what Tim started talking about. Apple Music is now at 17 million subscribers, access to over 30 million songs, yada yada, yada yada, yada yada.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well said. Then onto the App Store, and over 140 billion apps have been downloaded. The year-over-year growth of apps are downloaded at 106% year-over-year growth, and that's for July and August downloads. 2 times the revenue of Android, over 500,000 games in the App Store, and then he introduced, finally, Mario is coming to the App Store and Nintendo. So finally, that's happening. Super Mario Run is the first app for Mario for iOS, and that will be released soon. They had Nintendo come on stage and do a long demo of Super Mario Run. No mention of it being available for Apple TV yet. Next up, Tim went over education. He talked about Connect Ed and the 114 schools they're involved with. Susan Prescott from Apple came out to talk about iWork and real-time collaboration for Pages, Keynotes, and Numbers.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And by this time, it became pretty clear that there wasn't going to be MacBooks at this event. Finally, Tim came back and we got around to the good stuff, new products. And first up is the Apple Watch. And rather than going into what the Apple Watch was, they started off talking about how the Apple Watch is the top-selling smartwatch, and in 2015, Apple was the number 2 watch seller, even though they only sold watches for 8 months out of the year. Matter of fact, the only company that sold more watches than Apple was Rolex. So Apple outsold Fossil, Omega, Cartier, Citizen, Seiko, and a whole bunch of other people, basically everyone but Rolex for 2015 worldwide watch sales. And then Jeff Williams from Apple came out to talk about the new Apple Watch. And yes, first thing they talked about was Pokemon Go is coming to the Apple Watch and shipping before the end of the year. Shh, don't tell my sons. They talked about the features in watchOS 3. We've talked about this before in the past because it really wasn't anything new there. This is what we covered at WWDC. Finally, 35 minutes in, we get to the video of the new Apple Watch, which meant at this point I was pretty much resigned to the fact there wasn't going to be new iPads either. First thing they show, one of the first things that stood out in the Apple Watch video was showing people in swimming pools. Nice. It is called the Apple Watch Series 2. It is officially swim-proof, water-resistant to 50 meters, and it is robust enough for swimming every day. Internally, it has the S2 processor board, which is the next-gen dual-core processor. It's 50% faster and 2 times better graphics performance than the original Apple Watch. The second-gen display is twice as bright as the original Apple Watch. As expected, it has built-in GPS, another bingo card item there. Actually, looks like all 3 bingo card items for the Apple Watch are hits. Apple Watch 2 was introduced. It's the same size and GPS, but no cellular, all of which were hits. They also introduced a ceramic version of the Apple Watch 2 to go with the aluminum and stainless steel versions, and a new Apple Watch Nike Plus version designed specifically for runners, which is the aluminum version with a special band, which is not the type of band I would recommend for runners. It's kind of the same design as the standard band that comes with it, which, as you know, is easy to come off. I would definitely get one that has a much stronger clasp that's not going to just fly off when you're running. So you'll want to change that band ASAP if you do get the Nike Plus. Faster processor, brighter display, GPS. What about battery life? 20 minutes in on the Apple Watch segment, and there was still nothing yet about battery life. Pricing for the Apple Watch 2, it starts at $369. The Apple Watch Series 1 is still available, now starts at $269, and now has the same second-gen core, so it has a better processor. September 16th for the Apple Watch Series 2 availability, but nothing, nada, zip, not a single word about battery life. That's not good. My recommendation on the Apple Watch Series 2, wait until it's released to see what the real life battery life is like for this, or at least until Apple posts something up on the site about battery life, because right now there's nothing on this, and no information is scary information. Don't get me wrong. I really like what I saw and heard about the Apple Watch 2. It's what I didn't hear that scares me, but I do like the fact that you can swim with it. Maybe that'll be something that pushes me over the edge to get back to start swimming again. Next up was the iPhone. At this point, we were 55 minutes into the presentation, so yeah, it's just going to be the iPhone from this point out, folks. As previously mentioned, over 1 billion iPhones sold. Then there was an iOS 10 overview, which I will not overview because once you got through that, there was no way there was going to be anything other than the iPhones introduced in addition to the Apple Watch. They did go over HomeKit, and yes, today's sponsor Ring works with HomeKit. And now the iPhone 7. And the first thing they show is the dual camera module, and off to a video with Sir Johnny. It is, of course, very pretty, and the new color is the jet black finish, and it's highly glossed, and it's beautiful, and that's the one I'm going to get. And I'll talk about that more in a few minutes. But it is the same basic design as the 6 and 6S as expected. Phil the Thrill Shower came out to do the big overview for the iPhone, and he wanted to talk about 10 highlighted points for the new iPhones. And yes, they are the 7 and the 7 Plus. First up was jet black finish. That's the high gloss finish. There is also a second new black called just black. And of course, then there's still gold, silver, and rose gold. The antennas, as expected, were moved up and down. So no longer the lines across the back, a little bit up and down. Now it's right along the top edge. So kind of built right into the edge of the iPhone. The home button, that's number 2, was redesigned. It's force sensitive. It has a new Taptic engine. So it doesn't look to be any longer a moving button. At least that's how it seemed to be appearing. I need to confirm that. That'll be something we'll talk about on the next show, but it does look like now going forward, the home button is not a physically moving button. It's just a button that it senses when you push on it and gives you some taptic feedback, which is good if that's the case, because that means it's no moving button, nothing to go wrong. A lot of times we had issues with home buttons. Number 3, the new iPhones are water resistant and dust resistant. Again, as expected, and this goes to IP67 protection standard. The 6 is for the dust and the 7 is for the water depth, and that's rated to a depth of 1 meter when you look through the IP spec. So 7 in that case means a water rating to a depth of 1 meter. Next up was the camera, item 4, and this is the biggie. For the iPhone 7, it is just one camera module, again, as expected, with an f/1.8 aperture, 6-element lens, and bigger lens as expected. It's a new 12 megapixel module. It's all brand new camera module. And with a new 4 LED flash. Yes, that was on the bingo card. Faster processor for photos, optical image stabilization now, body and face detection versus just previously face detection. The iPhone 7 Plus, that's where the real camera changes come in. Yup, it is a 2-camera module as expected. 2 12 megapixel cameras. Shocker. And when you have the camera open, when you look on the screen, there's going to be a new button and it'll say 1x, or you can tap it and it'll go to 2x, and that's an optical zoom. Or you can slide it, and now you can slide between 1x to 10x. Beyond 2x, it is software zoom. Up to 2x, it's optical zoom. Having the second lens allows for the optical zoom and better pictures. This is the key reason I'm updating to the iPhone 7 Plus. This was the feature I've been waiting for. This will give you as close to DSLR as you can get on a smartphone, at least today. Not as good, but close enough for most, in theory. And it'll be fun to test out, and it's going to be close enough for me. It will be the best camera I've ever owned. And that was what Phil was basically saying. For most people, it will be your best camera that you've ever owned. For video recording on the 7 Plus, you can do 2x optical zoom and up to 6x digital zoom versus the 3x on the 6S Plus. For both the iPhones, there is a new 7 megapixel FaceTime HD camera that's up from the 5 megapixel on the old versions, which allows now 1080p HD video recording with auto image stabilization. Again, that's on the FaceTime camera on the iPhones. There's a new feature that they'll be introducing. It's called Portrait, and it has a depth effect where it gives a blur in the background and pops out the portrait of a person in the foreground. That will be via software update later this year, not available right away at launch, but kind of a cool feature. The 5th item they talked about, display. It's a 25% brighter display, a wider color gamut, cinema standard, 3D touch, yada yada. But basically the same exact resolution as the 6S and 6S Plus. Speakers. There are now stereo speakers, one on the top and one on the bottom of the phone, and twice the volume of previous speakers. Good news about the speakers at the top and the bottom is that now to enjoy stereo sound, you don't actually have to put the iPhone on the bridge of your nose after all. Number 7, Earpods, as expected, are now Lightning for the headphones. That means no more 1/8-inch headphone port. And they are including the Lightning to 1/8-inch headphone jack adapter with the new iPhone. So you don't have to go out and buy an adapter. It will come with the iPhone. But no more headphone jack. Now you plug into the Lightning port. Phil said the reason they are moving on this is courage. Did I mention Phil is a marketing guy? 8, wireless. Apple's Airpods. Well, you're going to get rid of the headphone jack. You want to come out with some good wireless earbuds, and that's what Apple did. These have 5 hours of listening on a single charge, and the case gives up to 24 hours of play, and you can switch to Apple Watch from the iPhone. So these new EarPod, or AirPods as they're called, are basically wireless headphone earbuds that can switch right between your iPhone and your Apple Watch, which is really nice. Connecting is really easy. You open the case that they come in, and up pops a dialog box on your iPhone. You tap connect, and that's it. No buttons, no pairing. with a special Apple chip is built in these. It's called the W1. So this is a proprietary wireless technology. Apple developed a special chip on this. If you remember the Kickstarter project a few episodes back where they had earbuds that charged in the case, same exact thing here with Apple AirPods. Pricing on this is $159. Availability is late October. More on these and a future episode. We'll get into the specs on that a lot more. And speaking of wireless, which was what the 8th item was, there was an improvement to LTE. It was improved on both iPhones, and they now support up to 450 megabits per second versus the 300 megabits per second on the 6S and 6S Plus. Number 9, Apple Pay. And Apple Pay will be improved so that it is now supported in Japan, the Felicia chip they're adding or technology. And they're also going to introduce transit in Japan. So congratulations there. And then finally, 10, performance, as in the A10 chip. No surprise, 64-bit, 4-core processor, 40% faster than the A9, 2 times faster than the A8. So if you're going from an iPhone 6 Plus to a 7 Plus, it's going to be twice as fast. It's now 120 times faster than the original iPhone. They also have 2 cores in there are for the faster part of it, and 2 cores are for higher efficiency. It's a new GPU, 6-core, 50% faster than the A9, 3 times faster than the A8, and now 240 times faster on graphics than the original iPhone. So going from an iPhone 6 Plus to 7 Plus, you're going to see great improvement in performance. Quote, the A10 is the most powerful chip ever in a smartphone, unquote. That was one of the quotes he put up there. They also put up there another quote, longest battery life ever on an iPhone. And for battery life, Apple stated that the 7 Plus will get about an hour longer battery life than on the 6S Plus. And the 7 will get up to 2 hours longer battery life than on the iPhone 6S. But looking at the specs for the 7 Plus to start with, talk time is now at 21 hours wireless versus 24 hours wired on the 6 Plus. Don't know why they compared wireless to wired. Internet use is where you actually see those improvements on battery life, and that's where all the additional time they talk about is. But if you are doing audio playback wireless versus wired, then there, as would be expected, a degradation in battery life. If you are moving from a 6 Plus or a 6 to the 7 Plus or 7, then battery life improvements should be about the same. Physically, the 7 and the 7 Plus are identical in dimensions to the 6S and 6S Plus. Early on, I said if they did away with the headphone jack, if you go back all the way back, I think it was like in January or February when the rumors first started circulating, I said if they're getting rid of the headphone jack, it would not be because of thinness. And that's true. The 7 and the 6S are both 7.1 millimeters thin. And the 7 Plus and the 6S Plus are both 7.3 millimeters thin. There are no changes at all in dimensions between the 6S Plus and the 7 Plus and the 6S and the 7. The only difference is weight. The 7 is 5 grams lighter than the 6S, and the 7 Plus is 4 grams lighter than the 6S Plus. Other than that, dimension-wise, they're identical. The iPhone 7 is also identical in pricing to the iPhone 6S. Costs are $649, $749, and $849. There is one difference. You now get double the storage. Now you have 32, still not enough gigabytes. 128, okay, that is more like 8 gigabytes. And 256, I have a new puppy, gigabytes. The 7 Plus costs $769, $869, and $969 for the same storage levels I just mentioned. In both the 7 and the 7 Plus, the Jet Black is only available at the 128 and the 256 gigabyte versions. All storage options are available for silver, gold, rose gold, and plain black. Pre-orders. This is the important date, September 9th. Traditionally, that means 12:01 a.m. Pacific time. So September 9th at 12:01 a.m. Pacific time, as in Friday morning at 3:01 a.m. Eastern time or 2:01 a.m. Central time in my case, not Saturday, but Friday. iPhones will start shipping on September 16th. 20 countries are going to get the iPhone on the 16th. Then 30 more countries will get it 1 week later on the 23rd. The countries getting it on the 16th are Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, China, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Luxembourg, Mexico, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Puerto Rico, Singapore, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, UAE, United Kingdom, and of course, the United States. One take, baby. Yeah! And then on the 23rd of September, these additional 30 countries get the iPhones, and they are Andorra, Bahrain, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Estonia, Greece, Greenland, Guernsey, Hungary, Iceland, Isle of Man, Jersey, Kosovo, Kuwait, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Maldives, Malta, Monaco, Poland, Qatar, Romania, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Slovakia, and Slovenia. Not even close to one take. If your country was not named in either group, you likely will still be getting it prior to the end of the year, but 50 countries in the first 8 days is by far the widest, fastest rollout ever for new iPhones. iOS 10 will be rolled out on September 13th. I cannot stress this enough. Wait, please wait on updating to iOS 10. Don't be the first ones that update to iOS 10. There is no killer feature you cannot wait a week or more to update to. Every year, there are some sort of issues with upgrades. Maybe this year will be different. Maybe not. Probably not. Next episode will be about iOS 10 and the new features and more info on the iPhones and the Apple Watch 2. But next episode really be more about iOS 10. And I can't stress enough, wait. And speaking of new iPhones, this is an important point. If you are going to pre-order, in the past, the Apple Store app on iOS has been the first place pre-orders went live. Sometimes a few minutes before the web store, sometimes an hour before. That said, be checking both places an hour or so before the stated time and keep pinging them. Make sure you have an account set up in the Apple App Store app beforehand. Into the email bag, and this one came in Wednesday morning prior to the event. Hi Rob, my prediction for the removal of the headphone jack is they will remove it. They will provide a headphone that is both wired and wireless like a combo. They will include it with the phone, I hope. No basis for my prediction. I guess we will see. Thanks for all you do, Dan. Well, kind of 50-50 there, Dan. No headphone jack, but they didn't provide the wireless combo. Speaking of predictions, we did have the bingo card, and let's go over what was missed, because there was actually less things missed than were hit. So the items that didn't happen. No new MacBook Pros. And figured that out pretty early on in the event that was going to happen. And then figured out a little bit later that there was going to be no iPad minis. So those 3 boxes on the iPad minis, those were gone. And then there was no smart connector for the 5.5-inch iPhone 7 Plus. Now, there are a couple items that we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure if 3 gigabytes of RAM is inside the 5.5-inch iPhone. We will find out when the teardowns happen. And kind of probably didn't happen. Improved 3D touch with lower latency and improved NFC with full access. So yeah, those two didn't happen either. So those are the items that didn't happen. Ones that did happen. Go across the top row. 5.5-inch with dual cameras. Yes. iPhone 6 and 6 Plus killed off. Yes. 4 LEDs for new improved flash. Yes. A Apple Watch 2 with GPS but not cellular. Yes. And the 7 and 7 Plus. Yes. So that's bingo across the top row. The A10 processor with M10 Motion coprocessor. Yep. Storage levels 32, 128, and 256. Yep. And the headphone jacks removed. Plus the free space. Boom. Bingo diagonally. And then we also had bingo across the middle row, where the home button was flush to the screen and does not move. Black is the new color for the iPhones. The iPhone's the same basic design as the 6 and 6S, and stereo speakers on the iPhone. So all of those were yes, and in the free spot, and that's another bingo. And then other items that were hit, Apple Watch 2 introduced, and the Apple Watch 2 the same size as the original. And then iPhones come with Lightning earbuds. That's a yes. And it's water resistant, and that's a yes. So actually a lot more items were hits on this bingo card than we've ever had in any previous bingo card, which just means the rumor mills are getting better and better and better, or Apple is getting better at releasing the information ahead of time to select people. As I mentioned, I did release the bingo card the day before the event, and that is a blog post at todayinios.com and also inside the Tii app. And as is the tradition with these blog posts and app posts, I have in plain text all the different items in the rows. So yes, even the bingo cards are voiceover friendly. Here's some voice feedback on the event today.
Hi, Rob. This is Emiko from Iowa. I just finished watching the event, and then I currently use iPhone 6 Plus, and I was planning to upgrade to iPhone 7, but after seeing the event, I decided to go with 7 Plus because of the cameras. And I think it's a really nice feature, and then I like the idea of optical zoom and nicer cameras. So that's what I decided to go with iPhone 7 Plus for me. Thank you for the show. I enjoy listening. Long-time listener. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, Emiko, for the feedback and the quick feedback, by the way. And I have to say this, I think the 7 Plus, the gap between the 7 Plus and the 7 is much greater than it has been between the 6 and the 6 Plus or the 6S and the 6S Plus. The new dual camera module, that's a huge difference. And I wonder what that's going to do to sales. I wonder what that's going to do to ASP. I wonder if that's going to mean people that really don't want the bigger size are going to hold back now. Interesting to see what happens. But yeah, for me, it was a no-brainer. I already had the bigger version. But if I had to choose, I don't know how I could choose the 7 over the 7 Plus right now, given the difference in the cameras. Folks, give us a call, 206-666-6364. That's 206-MOON-DOG. Or send an email to todayinios@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts with regards to the cameras and which iPhone you're going to be getting, the 7, 7 Plus, or none of the above, and why. See you on the 7th.
And the 8th, and the 9th, and the 10th. In fact, I'll be here all year.
See you on the 7th.
I can't wait for National Acorn Squash Day either. MMMM.
See you on the 7th.
Be there or be hectagonal, Robert.
See you on the 7th.
Personally, I like the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 13th, and 21st myself.
See you on the 7th.
Not if I see you first.
See you on the 7th.
An auspicious day.
Thanks again to Ring for sponsoring this episode. Folks, right now, for a limited time only, go to ring.com/TII to save $50 off the Ring of Security Kit. Thanks, Ring, for sponsoring this show. And before we go today, I want to remind you to send in your feedback to the show, 206-666-6364. That's 206-MOON-DOG. Or record your feedback and email to the show at todayinios@gmail.com. Feedback can be a question or comment per something someone said on this episode, or it can be a question or a rant you have about something else, an app, a product review, good or bad. As long as it is iOS related, it is welcomed. I'm always looking for new artwork to feature that you've created on an iOS device. Just put some TII branding on it and send it in. And of course, we're always looking for more music created on an iOS device to play on the show. This is your show, and your feedback is greatly desired. And I do want to hear back from you. Are you getting a new iPhone or not? Also, don't forget to check out our moderated Google Plus community by going to todayinios.com/community. Finally, check out the newly updated TII app, which is free to you. Search for TII in the iTunes App Store. It is the best way to consume the show and to get push notifications each time a new episode of TII is released. It's fully voiceover friendly, of course. Please go right now and download the TII app. And that, folks, is going to do it for us today. Until the next time, I'm your host, Rob, reminding you to phone different. This show is hosted on Libsyn.com and part of the Wizard Media Network. If you are looking for hosting, go to Libsyn.com. That's Libsyn.com for hosting for your podcast and for creation of your own smartphone app. The Today in iOS podcast can also be found on the free Stitcher radio app. Just search for TII. I didn't say anything.
Oh no.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything.
I'm sorry. I'll try harder.
I didn't say anything.
Sigh.
I didn't say anything.
Sorry.
I didn't say anything.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately, I am as yet imperfect. Unfortunately, I am as yet imperfect.
I didn't say anything.
Give me another chance. Give me another chance. Give me another chance.
I didn't say anything.
Give me another chance. Give me another chance. Sigh. I'm sorry. I'll try harder.
We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. Out the door. We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. Out the door. Oh man, the building is on fire. 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 Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Oh man, the building is on fire. 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 We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. Out the door. We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. We ain't gonna be in no fire. Out the door. Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. Hey, it's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Oh man, the building is on fire. 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 Oh man, the building is on fire.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, I woke up to go give me a cold pop. Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.